still don't understand how all this could happen to me. When doctors ask me why I start panicking at night and why I scream when the lights go out, I can't explain. I can't gather my thoughts. It's as if my life is torn in two halves. Everything that was before the picture and everything that happened after. And as I sit now in this room that smells of medicine and cold water, I try to figure out where reality ends and where the curse that came into my home begins, when I didn't realize that I had to give up a gift from an old grandmother we didn't even know. Annie and I got married simply and quietly. No noisy ceremonies, no expensive restaurants. I hardly knew her relatives, and she rarely met her family either. It so happened that the closest person to her was some distant grandmother from her mother's side, whom she had not seen for years, probably 20. But she still sent us a box with gifts. She lived in some small town in the state of Georgia, and she probably didn't even know what we looked like because there was no photo or letter inside, just things that smelled of old age. The box arrived on our doorstep the same day we moved into our new apartment in Ohio. The apartment was small but cozy, a 2-bedroom on the 3rd floor, with large windows and an old wooden door that creaked every time the draft touched it. It amused me then, but now the sound gives me such a seizure that the nurses have to inject me with sedatives. The box contained embroidered napkins, old cutlery, a bronze candlestick, and a painting. Heavy, in a wooden frame, covered with dark varnish. I carried it carefully because it seemed fragile, although at the same time it was so massive that my fingers ached from the weight. The painting depicted a woman, as if young, but something in her face was wrong. It was as if it was growing old and young at the same time. The hair on the canvas was dark, tangled, almost alive. And the eyes. I looked away when I first saw them. They were painted as if the artist was trying to convey something more than just a look. Something like hate or hunger. And for some reason, I immediately had the feeling that the painting should be burned, to bury, throw into the lake. But Annie laughed, said that it was just an old thing, an inheritance, and that you won't offend the grandmother. And she added that the picture even fits the wall in the corridor, adds atmosphere. Atmosphere. I can't hear that word now. The first days we lived wonderfully. I went to work on night shifts as a security guard in a warehouse store. Annie worked at home, wrote some texts. In the evenings we drank tea in the kitchen, listened to old jazz, read books. I was happy, for real. And then it started. Small things first. I was going to work, looked around the corridor, and it seemed to me that the woman in the picture was not looking the same as before. It was as if her head was turned slightly to the side. I approached, looked for a long time. No, everything is the same. But as the light faded, her eyes took on a depth they hadn't had in the day. It seemed to me that at night, when I walk, the picture becomes darker. The hair seems to expand, slides along the canvas like the roots of an old tree. Once I saw a scratch on the frame, fresh, deep, as if someone ran a sharp fingernail through the wood. Cat? We don't have a cat. Mice? It was 1/2 centimeter deep. I told Annie. She shrugged, but I noticed her hands were shaking. Night after night I came home and caught the eyes of the painting on me. Sometimes when I entered the apartment, It seemed to me that someone was standing in the corridor. Shadow, dark, thin. But when I blinked, nothing happened. Then the sound started. I thought Annie was leaving the music on, but no, it wasn't music. It was a whisper, barely audible, such that if you don't hold your breath, you won't understand anything. I stopped under the painting and heard something rustling inside the canvas, as if someone were running their fingers along the back of the fabric. One day I called Annie. She came up, looked at the picture, and sharply retreated. "She's different," she whispered. I asked what she meant, but Annie said she must have been overworked, although I saw something like real fear in her eyes. But we did not remove the picture. For some reason they could not, as if something in the head said, "Don't touch, don't move, don't you dare." I don't even know if that was my thought. Further, worse. A few days later, I woke up in the middle of the day after a night shift and heard someone softly crying in the living room. I thought it was Annie. I went to her and saw her back. She was standing in front of the picture, almost close, and cried. Not loudly, but quietly, so that her shoulders almost trembled. "Annie?" I touched her shoulder. She jerked back as if I had hit her. She turned to me with such eyes that I backed away. "Did you see it?" she asked. "What exactly?" She was silent for a very long time. Then she was moving. I meant to say that it is impossible, that it's just tiredness, but a cold sweat broke out on my back when I looked at the picture again. The woman's eyes were wider, literally, as if the artist changed the proportions. I couldn't leave Annie alone anymore, but I had to go to work. She said that everything is fine, but I saw that at night she does not sleep, but sits in the kitchen with the light on. And then came a night I will never forget. The night I'm here for. I went on another shift. I thought about her all the time. Something was pressing inside. Something was screaming that it was necessary to return home. I even asked my partner to let me go, but he laughed, saying, "Newlyweds are always worried." At 3 in the morning, I thought I heard her voice. Not in the phone. In the head. Whisper, torn, breathless. "Come. Home. Come." I broke away and ran to the exit, scored on work, on superiors, on everything, past all the red ones. When he broke into the entrance, he heard something hitting the walls in the apartment. My heart was jumping out of my chest. I opened the door. And the first thing I saw was a picture. The painting was torn from the wall and lay on the floor, but the woman in it was closer. Her face filled the entire canvas. Her mouth was open. Huge. It was as if she was screaming without a sound. It was as if she was absorbing the light. Annie lay next to her. I won't describe everything. I can't. I will only say that the killer did not use a knife. No, it was like she was being torn apart by hands, or something sharp but uneven, like claws. My vision has darkened. I screamed, grabbed her, slammed. I prayed that she would somehow, I don't want to remember it. And then, silence. Police, sirens. I was taken away. They said I was covered in blood, that I sat in the middle of the room and laughed. I don't remember that. No one could find the weapon. No one could explain the tracks. Neighbors said They heard sounds as if someone was being chopped up in the apartment. They suspected me, but there was no evidence. The picture disappeared. She was not there, not in the trash, nowhere. Instead, they discovered scratches on the walls, the same as on the frame, deep. It was as if something was getting out of the middle of the wall into the apartment. I later found out that the apartment was rented out 3 months later. A young couple went there and disappeared, just disappeared. The police found the door open, blood on the floor, no bodies. And in the corridor, an empty nail on the wall where the picture once hung. I'm not crazy. I didn't make this up. She's still out there somewhere. And sometimes, when the nurses turn off the lights for the night, I see women's hair moving in the dark, and someone is standing in the corner. And I know that the painting has found a new place, and that I am the next one.